Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to show 228 with yours truly, the heavy pastor. That would be me. I swear to tell nothing but the truth, so help me God. On this occasion, I will not be giving any kind of biblical reference at all. Okay? Just take it from me, and you can perform your own research and study in the Gospels and the words of Jesus Christ for your own education, and not to live in ignorance anymore. Okay, a lot of things about Jesus and in the Bible, and especially about Jesus, are hearsay or theories or suppositions, supposing things. People suppose things or think things or take things for granted or whatever, or for fact, when it's not really a fact. There's no biblical fact to the things that they assume. Okay? No biblical fact at all. Just assumptions. Hearsay. Like gossip. Oh, yeah. Mary Magdalene was Jesus' girlfriend. Sounds so nice, doesn't it? But it has nothing to do with reality if you studied and dissected the words of Jesus intensely, as I've had for decades now. Decades. You heard correctly. So I'm pretty sure I have the authority to tell you this, that Mary Magdalene was not Jesus' main squeeze. And as a matter of fact, I sincerely believe that Jesus may have had sexual friendships with diverse ladies, young ladies. Why not? It was his father's invention, his father's gift. Why not enjoy it to the fullest with real love? Okay? With real love and a mutual consent. Now, let's talk about Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene, Jesus, we know from the Bible, I'm telling you biblical stuff, that she was exorcised. Jesus cast 7 demons out of her. What was Mary Magdalene? Mary Magdalene was a madame, and she was a wealthy woman besides, and she supported Jesus financially. She had a lot of money, and out of her substance, she really believed and loved Jesus. She loved him. She loved him to no end, and she supported him. And she was even there when rumors went around that he was no longer in the grave. No longer in the grave. So she was important in his life, but she was not his main squeeze. Okay. Now, there was a woman that we know, okay, that was considered a sinner. Her name was Mary also, but it was not Mary Magdalene. And she was in the house, the one that was in the house of the Pharisee, when Jesus was invited for dinner or lunch or whatever, what have you, at the house of an important Pharisee. This woman was there massaging and kissing Jesus' feet and drying and crying on his feet and drying the tears with her hair and loving and kissing his feet. How nice. I'm sure Jesus enjoyed that. Who wouldn't enjoy a foot massage from a beautiful woman kissing your feet? And the Pharisees criticized Jesus on this occasion and said, how can he be a prophet? How can he be a prophet? He doesn't know what manner of woman that he is touching him. She's a sinner. That was not Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene would not stoop to such low levels. She was a distinguished madame. Okay, this was a simple girl that had a bad reputation, considered a sinner by the Pharisees, and she loved Jesus. And guess what? She had a brother. His name was Lazarus, and she had a sister. Her name was Martha. Okay. So they lived together, Lazarus and his 2 sisters, and they lived in the town of Bethel. Okay? And Jesus frequented their house and loved them, and Lazarus was one of his best friends. Okay, so the thing that I want to clarify here is that there's an occasion there that you probably have read that Martha was, Jesus was at the house in Bethel, and Martha complained to Jesus and said, Mary is sitting by your feet. She was really into that. I'm not saying she had a feet fetish, but she might have had. But she was sitting by his feet, listening to all his words, whereas Martha was encumbered with service. Martha was going around cooking, cleaning, washing dishes, who knows what. And she complained to Jesus and said, Jesus, Lord, I'm doing all the work here, and Mary's just sitting at your feet. And Jesus said, well, guess what? Mary has taken that good part which shall never be taken away from her. Mary hath chosen that good part which shall not be taken away from her. Mary hath chosen that good part which shall not be taken away from her. Okay? Okay, this is in Bethel. Okay. Changing the subject a bit, we know that Jesus had the power to raise the dead. He raised several people from the dead. And if you will notice, every time he raised a person from the dead, the first thing he commanded the people around was give them to eat. Even when he raised Lazarus, give him to eat. When he raised the young damsel, give her to eat. Okay? So it seems like when he raised somebody from the dead, he felt it was necessary to feed them. You know, ASAP, right away, feed them. So he had power. That's one of his, I'm saying, but that's one of his gifts, was raising people from the dead. I don't think that he went walking on water. I think he was a surfer. I have studied the history of surfing. It goes way before the time of Jesus, where they used longboards to go into reefs where the fishing boats couldn't reach, to catch, seashells and whatever, molluscules, or the animals of the ocean that you couldn't reach on a boat. And later on, according to history, it turned into a sport and a play. They started playing with it, and then it turned into a sport. The surfing that came before Jesus. There's Polynesia we're talking. And coincidentally, Jesus was a carpenter. Come on, man. They were playing around. And so, I think they got into the sport and the game of surfing. And then he was blamed, and the Pharisees were always looking for an excuse to say that he was a wizard, a witch, a male witch. And that's why they said, look, he's walking on water. They were looking for excuses to burn him as a male witch, to kill him for having evil powers. He was walking on water. That was considered evil to them. Okay, but they probably even knew that he wasn't walking on water, that there was a surfboard under. And if you look at the pictures there, you'll notice. Okay, there was a longboard. Jesus was a surfer. Okay, he didn't walk on water. And I also don't think he went flying in the air like Peter Pan in the so-called Holy Ascension. I'll tell you what happened. Okay? Now when Jesus rose from the dead, why was he always like incognito? He spent 40 days after he rose from the dead hanging around, visiting people, always incognito. They supposed him at one instance, to be the gardener. They supposed him to be the gardener. Okay? Incognito. Okay? Always like disguised, low key. Why? If he could walk on water and if he could fly like Peter Pan, why did he have to hide himself? Okay, and when he went into the room where they were all gathered and doubting Thomas, said, unless I put my fingers in the wounds of his hands, I will not believe that he rose from the dead. And Jesus came and said, come on, touch my hands, the holes from the nails, And he said, I am not a spirit. I'm in the flesh. Jesus was in the flesh. And he also ate. And when they were, on another occasion, when he appeared to them, they were fishing. And he was in the shore cooking, having a barbecue of fish, a fish barbecue for them when they came back. And he also ate. Jesus ate. He was in the flesh. Another part of the Bible, it says that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. So don't tell me that he went flying like Peter Pan in his flesh. Because he was in his flesh. He proved that they touched him. He said a spirit does not, you can't touch a spirit, right? So he said, he corrected them, that he was not a ghost, okay? But he was walking around low key. Let me ask you a question. Isn't it coincidental that the Roman soldiers didn't break his legs like they break the legs of the other two crucified people to his either side? They broke their legs. How come they didn't break Jesus' legs? Funny, huh? And isn't it coincidental that Joseph of Arimathea, a rich guy who loved Jesus, a friend of Jesus, asked permission from Pilate to take the body? To take the body. Isn't that coincidental? Okay, so this is my theory is the following. I'll tell you what it is. When Jesus, after he was spent 40 days appearing here and appearing there, right? He finally with some of his followers, he went to Bethel. Bethel. Guess who lived in Bethel? Lazarus, Mary, and Martha. He went to Bethel, and in Bethel, supposedly, he pulled this flying act, the Holy Ascension, they call it, where he lifted himself above into the clouds of heaven. Why did he go to Bethel to do that, to perform that? Because that's where Mary lived, and Lazarus and Martha. So it's in my opinion that Jesus Christ, after he fulfilled his wonderful mission, went to Bethel, picked up his girl, and they went into exile. Okay, where? Possibly Greece, Lebanon, Cyprus, Syria, Turkey, Crete, Saudi Arabia, Egypt. Who knows, right? And maybe he deserved it. He fulfilled his mission, right? Maybe he opened a business. Jesus' wine and spirits, or surfboards. Making surfboards. He was a carpenter, right? Maybe Mary made a massage parlor. She was big on massaging, right? Okay? Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. He did not walk on water. He was a surfer because he was a carpenter. And that's all I got to say about the subject. Mary Magdalene was not Jesus' main squeeze. Forget the ignorance. It was Mary, the sister of Lazarus and the sister of Martha, who lived in Bethel, where supposedly Jesus pulled the flying in the air trick of the Holy Ascension. They went into exile. I'll see you later. Think about it.